The first light of dawn stretched over the jagged ridges of the desert, painting the sky in streaks of crimson and gold, as if the heavens themselves were warning of the day's unfolding drama. In the quiet of the canyon, a lone figure stirred, a cowboy, whose silhouette had become a ghostly presence among the rock formations. He had ridden all night, following rumors whispered in the saloons of frontier towns, rumors that led him to the most dangerous and desperate corner of the territory. There, in the shadow of a cliff, lay a small, crude cage made of iron and wood, its bars sunk into the sand like the fingers of a forgotten prisoner. Inside it, a woman struggled against the chains that bound her wrists, her dark eyes flashing like embers in the cold morning air. She was Apache, fierce and untamed, with a will that could bend neither time nor man. Her hair, thick and black as midnight, fell in tangled waves around her face, catching the first light and glowing with defiance. The cowboy approached cautiously, boots crunching over stones and brittle brush, his heart pounding in rhythm with the desert wind. He had come to free her, yet he knew she might never forgive the hands that sought to unshackle her from captivity. Her lips pressed into a thin line, her jaw clenched, and her voice, when it came, was cold and sharp. "I'd rather die than be yours." The words cut deeper than any whip or gunshot, but they only fueled the cowboy's determination. He knelt beside the cage, careful to make no sudden movements, and began the laborious task of breaking the iron chains. Sparks flew as metal scraped metal, and the woman's hands trembled not from fear, but from the indignation of being freed against her will. Yet as the links fell one by one, the sky behind them flared with the rising sun, and she could not ignore the subtle warmth that touched her skin, a warmth that seemed to promise safety amid the cruel wilderness. The cowboy finally lifted the last chain and held it out to her, a silent plea in his dark, stormy eyes. She recoiled, stepping back with the instinct of a wild animal, her stance low and ready for flight. "I said I'd rather die," she spat, her voice echoing off the canyon walls, carrying the weight of generations who had known betrayal and captivity. He understood her anger, her mistrust, yet he did not flinch. He simply nodded, the early light catching the sharp lines of his weathered face. "I know," he said quietly, "and you don't have to answer me now. Just walk." The woman hesitated, her mind a whirlwind of fear and defiance. Every muscle in her body screamed to resist, yet the absence of the chains made her feel an unfamiliar sensation, the possibility of choice. The cowboy stepped back, giving her space, the sound of his boots on stone a gentle rhythm that seemed to beckon her forward. Slowly, cautiously, she touched the free end of her wrist, feeling the cold bite of iron replaced by the warmth of her own pulse. She looked at the man again, searching his expression for deceit, for malice, for any sign that this freedom was a lie. But all she saw was something she had not expected: respect, patience, and an unspoken promise that her choice would be honored. The desert around them awakened in color and sound. Birds cried above, a gentle breeze rustled through dry sagebrush, and the canyon walls shimmered as though acknowledging a small triumph over cruelty. Despite herself, she felt a flicker of something foreign: hope. The cowboy spoke again, softer this time, his voice barely rising above the whispering wind. "You can stay, or you can go. The choice is yours." Her mind raced. Escape seemed possible, yet staying offered an inexplicable sense of safety. She wanted to trust, but the chains of her past chains she could not yet see kept her heart guarded. The cowboy noticed her hesitation and took a step back, giving her the freedom she feared yet secretly craved. "I won't force you," he said. "Not ever. But if you need help, if you need someone to fight for you, I'll be here, always." Those words, simple yet profound, struck her like a lightning bolt. She had been taught that help always came with strings, that no man would ever seek her well-being without cost. Yet here was someone offering without demand, without expectation. Her breath caught. She wanted to believe, but pride screamed louder. She turned away, stepping toward the edge of the canyon, her eyes scanning the horizon where the desert met sky. But she did not leave, not yet. The cowboy remained where he was, silent but watchful, knowing that patience might be the only path to trust. Hours passed in quiet tension, the sun climbing higher and scorching the stones, and the woman finally sank to the ground, exhausted from both the chains and the inner battle raging within her. He approached slowly, not to cage her again, but to sit at a respectful distance. "You're safe now," he said. "No one will hurt you here." She swallowed hard, her pride warring with the instinct to survive. "Safe," she muttered, the word tasting foreign on her tongue. And yet, in that single syllable, a seed was planted, a seed that perhaps the world had more to offer than cruelty. The cowboy extended a hand, not as a master, not as a captor, but as a fellow human seeking to honor her courage. For a moment, she hesitated, and then, ever so slowly, she reached out. Their fingers touched briefly, an electric jolt that spoke of more than gratitude. It spoke of respect, understanding, and an unspoken bond forged in fire and freedom. The Apache woman's eyes softened, though her stance remained wary, a silent promise that trust would take time. And the cowboy understood, for he had seen the scars of the past etched deep into her soul. Together, they sat in the dawn, two figures silhouetted against the awakening desert, each learning the art of patience and the power of choice. In the silence, there was more than stillness. It was the sound of